Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow-Driven CEO podcast. It's Happy Monday vibes here, and I have Michael Krikheli from Tel Aviv, who is a co-founder and chief technology officer of Five Sigma, which is an AI solution to automate claims processes, and also has a product or an AI agent called Clive, which I absolutely love the name. And Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, BP.
No, thank
Great
you.
to be here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm really excited to talk to you, Michael, because I had no idea, part of the ignorance, and I've spoken to quite a few people from Tel Aviv, Israel, and I really ignorance is the wrong word, but I had no idea how much innovation and tech actually came out of Israel. And, it's been quite fascinating. And you sound like you're on the front foot of technology and what you're doing and what you're pioneering as well. Because from what I understand, you lead product and engineering, you bring a deep background in building data AI systems that do turn complex insurance workflows into simple, repeatable operating rhythms. Tell us tell us about it because yeah, like what I've been told, and I'd be interested to hear that there's never a problem. It's always just keep trying and fail fast. It sounds like it's a real cultural thing from being, someone who is from Israel, Tel Aviv. There's this real resilience. Tell us a bit about that and also how Five Sigma came about.
So Tel Aviv is really booming. They call it Startup Nation. They even have a book about it.
Oh, really?
And it's really booming with um, matching like brains and tech and risk taking and just working hard on difficult problems and keep going at it till we solve them. And there's a huge ecosystem here in Tel Aviv and in Israel in general, um, with entrepreneurs and technology companies coming in and it's been going on for a while and it's keep growing and growing and it's really great to be part of that community. And also I think that what's really nice about the Israeli community here in the tech space at least is that we're very, very open to kind of share ideas, work together, solve things together, and kind of we have this vibe of, if you succeed, I succeed
Yeah.
kind of stories. And yeah, that's really how what's going on here. So tons of companies, every new generation of technologies brings a lot of innovation from Tel Aviv.
Yeah, cool. And you seem like you radiate this real like happiness and energy about you when you talk about this collaboration. Everyone wants to succeed together. You
Yeah.
when I was booking, when I had you book into the to do the podcast and I asked around some, unique insights or experience when it comes to life leadership and or business, you did talk about this exponential nature of technology and how hard it is for linear humans to comprehend it. And I was really intrigued by this question, but also, I'm a very big believer that there is no such thing these days as A to B, right? Like the linear is that rigidity, that A to B. And when it comes to
Yeah.
collaboration, when it comes to succeeding, it is all around being non-linear. Tell us a bit about that point you made around this exponential nature of tech and how hard it is for linear humans to comprehend it.
Yeah. I think that for us, if you look into exponential, if you think about an exponential, right, take two and just multiply it by two again and again and again and again, you'll get a very large number after very few iterations, right? Um, and we don't really think that way as humans. Like you see what's next, and that's about it. But if you think about, but if you then go and think about where we were, I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and then where we were 100 years ago. Think like, or, 1,000 years ago. Think about 1,000 years ago to 300 years ago. Nothing like, there were some changes, but nothing really major happened there. And then you have like industrial revolutions and these types of things, which took like centuries. And then you have the information revolution, right? That started with personal computers and kind of mainframes and these types of things, which took, let's say, I don't know, 40 years, 50 years, arguably, where I definitely subscribe to that. We're in an intelligence revolution or an AI revolution right now, and it's so fast, right? And it's really hard for us to think of, and like, I don't know, I'm 37 years old. Like 50 years from now, where are we gonna be, right? And everyone's talking about time frames of, everyone is debating whether, artificial general intelligence will happen in 5 years or 10 years, which is like funny. But if you think about it, all right, I'm gonna live, let's say, 50 years from now. It's definitely gonna be in my lifetime, and I have a 1 year old at home. It's definitely gonna be in his lifetime, right? So when you think about that and how it evolves really fast, it's really hard for us to comprehend because you're kind of looking into this small lines that all look, oh yeah, I'm just, next year nothing's gonna happen. The year after that, nothing's gonna happen. 5 years from now, oh my God, what just happened, kind of thing,
Yeah.
and I think that um, for us as innovators and kind of we need to think through that and see how, where we are at that curve and what we can do to kind of innovate in whatever space we chose. We chose insurance claims, but like where that industry is going to look like and where the technology in 2, 5, 10 years will meet to kind of solve interesting problems in these industries. So I think that it's an interesting perspective to have as you think through where we're gonna, what the world's gonna look like in
Yeah, I
50
couldn't
years.
agree with you more. And I want to talk to you about Five Sigma. It's interesting even you bringing this up because I was reading something from Elon Musk the other day around, you probably saw it, that mobile phones, they won't exist in how he's made this prediction. I think, I don't know, was it 5, 10 years away where it'll be, we'll all have AI attached to us and it'll literally be doing everything for us. And you kind of go, and you could just, I was reading all the comments, it was on social media or wherever, and I was just like, this is fascinating, right? And so back
Yeah,
to your point around if we look at it in a linear way, we could get really scared or we could get really kind of rigid about, well, when is this going to happen and what's the time frame on it? But what you're saying and what I totally agree with is that when is it could happen, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next year, it could happen in, 5 or 10 years. It's just how do you work with it, but also how do you innovate? How do you continue to pivot? How do you continue to make sure that your business or, your leadership style or whatever you're doing is relevant to the eight?
yeah,
Tell us about Five Sigma. Like, how did you, it sounds like you're revolutionizing the insurance, sector. When did you start the
yeah.
company and how did you, yeah, tell us a bit about how you came up with the business.
Yeah. We started around 7 years ago. The co-founders we didn't come from insurance really. We came from technology and kind of business backgrounds, and we were looking for problems that have uh, three big pillars, right? The first one is a lot of value that can be added, right? So we're looking into big problems that are very impactful for society, and insurance is definitely one of them. The second was that we were looking for problems that have a lot of data, and when we pinpointed claims, if you think about, when you buy an insurance policy, let's say for your car, for your house, right? You just fill a form online or whatever that may be, call your agent. That, a minute later or a few days later, you get a policy, you kind of forget about it, and that's about it, right? That's the interaction. When you have a claim, when something bad happens, that's where you have a lot more interaction, a lot more going on, a lot of documents coming in, and all of that. So there's each and every one of the interactions. Is very data rich, right? So that's the second one. And the third one is that we wanted something that really touches customers' lives. And we kind of we're looking into tons of industries, and then we uh, talked to a few companies and saw that we can do something in the claim space, and we kind of gave it a go and we started building this software to really think about, right, so how does a modern claims management system can look like,
Mm.
right? What does it need? What are the how can we optimize the process and build software to that process? So that was 7 years ago. And then, obviously 2 years ago with ChatGPT and kind of all these new stuff coming out, we really thought about, right, so how does that impact our business or customers? So we doubled down on that and kind of leverage the technology to get um, even faster and better outcomes for our customers. And that's where we introduced Clive to the world, our AI agent. And we started small, but we add more and more capabilities to it and get tons of feedback from our customers. And the goal is really to be at a point where um, adjusters, the team members that are handling claims, they're doing the human stuff rather than uh, you know, the paper pushing stuff, right? They're
Yeah,
doing, when you have a claim, there's someone on the other side that had at least a very bad day or like, right? So no one kind of plans to go to the garage today. And then you have, that's one side of it. And then you can have like terrible life-changing events, right? So there's a lot of value for humans to really focus on the customer, right? Sometimes you just need to give them a hug and say,
yeah.
hey, I know it's your first time. I'm here for you. I'm gonna help you get through this, right? And that's kind of what claims should be about. And unfortunately, with everything that's going on, with all the work that they need to be doing, with all the systems that kind of weren't building that mindset, they're very, very, very busy. And when you're very, very, very busy, you can't be in that place for the customers, right? So we wanted to give to a point, wanted to get to a point where the humans are making decisions, helping the customers, and kind of the AI just
Just,
automates away everything
yeah.
that's not that, as well as helping with decision making to kind of really um, give whether it does that automatically or just gives the adjusters all the information that they need to make a call. So I think that that's important, and I think that we see how it's really valuable to the customers that are using it.
I love it. I mean, there's quite a few things coming up for me, but it sounds to me like this came from you guys just like going on almost like a solution finding exercise where you were looking for almost a problem.
Yeah,
And then how were you going to solve the problem? And
yeah,
it sounds like you went far and wide, and then you were like, okay, well, this is what we're good. And so because I call it solution finding because quite often the problem is never the problem, the brief is never the brief. And so
yeah,
you were finding something that you were like, well, how do we then find a solve for it? And I absolutely love that. But
yeah,
the other part of this is this whole ability to, you again, when you answered the questions, you talked around the fact that everyone needs to work on being present at every moment they have. And
yeah,
here you are talking about the customer coming first, and it's not about paper pushing, it's about the ability to be able to be present with your customer
yeah,
given insurance, and like you said, there can be real world problems. It's a heavily at times emotional kind of industry, and
yeah.
so having that ability to then have something where you can be present, was that your logic as well in terms of let AI, because you talked about reducing the cognitive load, right? And so it's only when we can reduce the cognitive load can we actually be present. Like we're present right now with each other. Like there's nothing else going on around us besides we're talking.
No, 100%. I think that we need to bring, as AI leaders in every industry, we need to figure out where AI can help, and where the humans are needed, right? And what is uniquely human in that line of work or that task, right? And and bringing back to humans like only that uniquely human assets, like uh, having a good conversation with the customer, right? So helping them out, really listening to what they're saying, without like worrying about filling a form on the back office to make sure that they're whatever compliant in their industry. I think that um, that's really important, and I think that it's also more fun. Like I don't think that like you and I or really anyone would say, "Oh yeah, I'm going back to work tomorrow. I'm gonna fill a bunch of forms," right? It's not like and like real problem solving, really helping customers
Mm.
is what we're really excited about and what we really want to do as humans. And being present at like focusing on one thing, really be there, really helps us do that in like intentionally,
Yeah.
so not like on the way to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Michael, how did you guys like, this is these are really strong leadership qualities and cues, right? In terms of the ability to be able to adapt, to pivot, to be present, to do things with purpose. Have you
Yeah.
always, like, was that something you were trained in? Like, were you, like, how did you and your founders come and like being uniquely human, like that for me is around authenticity, the ability to be unique, and the connection piece. Not every leader,
Yeah.
not every business has these qualities or these traits. Is this something that you was ingrained in you as you were growing up as a child through your your childhood, or like where does this, yeah, because it's very progressive, and I love that you've baked this into the total business model.
Yeah. I think that like as I saw Bill Gurley's um, great VC. He had a lecture that's on YouTube, and he said that you have just one career. Like most people have one career. Sometimes they have two, like, but that's about it, right? That's like the I don't know the
Yeah.
maximum of
Yeah,
careers
yeah,
that individuals have, and you kind of want to have intention to that thing that you do for years and years and years in your life and for hours and hours and hours in your day, right? If you think about that, that's something that you do most of your life, right? It's other than sleeping, you're probably working more than you're playing with your kids, more than where you were with your spouse, more than anything else, right? And if you think about it that way, that's where you want to really reflect on, all right, so what do I want to do with my career? What do I want to build? What do I want to do? How do I want to go about it? And I think that all of us really like taking, and then the other side of it, to your point about being flexible, it's like things change all the time. And to our previous discussion about exponentials, things change faster and faster now. And so everything you thought about your business and your life really and everything else like 10 years ago is probably outdated. Right. So that's where us as individuals and leaders need to kind of think through, all right, so what are we still trying to solve? And now what are the like where's the new playground, right? What's the new rules of the playground? What are the new tools that I have? What's the new problems that our customers have or whatnot, right? So I think that that's where um, you can't really be that, hey, this is what we're doing and that's it, kind of state of mind, because that in a very, very rapidly changing world, um, this won't fly anymore, really.
yeah. That's the whole formless piece for me. Like that ability to reimagine and reshape, like to go from that one form, then to go, well, that's no longer serving us. Let's subtract it from, whether it's the mind or the business, or, like even from a what you're doing from a automation perspective, and solutions to claims, like what worked a year ago may not necessarily work in 6 months time, let alone 12 months time. So then
Yeah.
how do you reshape it? How do you create, reimagine what's possible, and then you go and
Yeah.
test and learn, test and learn. Tell me, you talked about to build a business, find a problem that used to be impossible and now is merely very hard and solve it.
Yeah.
What do you
Uh,
by
so
that? Yeah, we've talked a fair bit about it, but what do you, yeah, talk a little bit more about that.
yeah, so I think that like building a business around a problem that's easy to solve is very, very, very scary. Because if it's easy for you and you're not, and you don't have a very, very good answer for why it's easy for you and very hard for anyone else, um, just someone else will just come in and solve it the same, right? So like just do it, they'll be better funded, they'll be bigger, they'll be whatever that may be, right? And then it'll be gone, right? So I think that so that's on one hand. On the other hand, you kind of don't want to have like to solve an impossible problem, right? Or like you might want to, but like you don't want to kind of focus all your life on solving something that's just unsolvable. So you kind of want to, on the new technology trends, kind of look into problems that used to be like insurmountable, this is impossible to do kind of thing to, oh yeah, it's still very hard, but it's really doable. And then like finding these problems that are very valuable, and then you're passionate about and can really do. I think that what makes a good business, because like just solving something that anyone really can solve is a shaky ground to kind of be
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So that's my thought there.
Have you guys had moments with the business, with Five Sigma, where you're like unsure if this is going to succeed? Like when it comes to, like, have you ever had those moments where it's just like, oh, is this going to get off the ground? Is this going to work? Have we got, yeah, how do we keep our point of differentiation? They say what the first couple of years you're almost finding your feet, and back to your point around, finding the problem and then what you're trying to solve, and then how you do it in a and where you've got the competitive edge and AI. We're in this AI revolution, and every second business is an AI type of
Yeah,
business. I'm interested to see who will last the distance in terms of when it comes to AI, tech backed businesses. Have you
yeah.
guys had your moments at all?
I I think we had like we had tons of like thinking through uh, hey, is it working or what we need to do better or different? But I think that from the get-go, and that we still see that the opportunity exists, right? So the problem exists, and we have the ability to solve it in general. And then from there on, it's like tons of new ideas and tons of like actually executing on these ideas is what counts. So I think that it's not that we had these moments on, oh, this doesn't make sense, like claims are fully automated already and like there's nothing to do there, or like we're gone, one of the big guys already kind of did that. But I think that um, getting from that point, and every time when you scale, you kind of say, great, now I'm at this stage, I want to be whatever 10x from where I am, right? And um, that's always hard and it's always a problem, but that's our role as leaders to kind of think through that and kind of build the organization and the solution to actually bring us there.
Yeah, and I think values, like putting those values into action and having, a culture where it is innovative, where it is iterative is super important.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Clive because, the AI agents, what I'm hearing is, it's obviously no longer about generative AI. And if your business or, I guess the next big thing is, these AI agents, how, like, what's your view on that and how important, like, you've created Clive to better automate, like you say, back to this, being able to be uniquely human. Do you,
Yeah.
is that the next big thing? Like, or do you think it's here already? And yeah, like, what's your view on that?
Uh, I think it's here already, and it's just getting better and better and better. I think that the technology moves very fast. the underlying technology, and it's on us to kind of think through, all right, so how can we use the technology in our line of business, right? So you want to be in that place. So Clive is essentially the vision for Clive is like saying, all right, so what are all the tasks that handling a claim is? Great. How can we help with all of them? Right. So that's the goal, right? I want to help with each and every one of these tasks. I want to automate the things that can be automated, and I want to help adjusters when they need help. So that's kind of how we're thinking about this. And the AI agent world is where you're kind of it has multiple parts to it, right? The first one is really understand everything that's going on and have like an action plan in its stomach for every claim. It's like, all right, so this is what needs to be done. And then for it to have the tools to actually do stuff, right? So, if what needs to be done right now is whatever, send an email, it can send that email, right? So
Yeah.
that's and there's tons of these examples throughout the life cycle of the claim, and we're pushing forward on all of these, right? So that's the goal. Um, and yeah, I think that there's, again, every time we have a new use case for Clive, we see the customers and the companies that we talk to in the industry really looking forward to kind of, oh, this can work, like this can work for me. And the goal is to kind of cut back on that paper pushing and bring back time to adjusters, bring back their human values to the adjusters. So I think that we're definitely going to see more and more of these, we think, in every industry, and we want to be the leaders in the claim space, right?
Yeah,
So
I love
that's our
it.
goal.
And
Yeah.
Clive, how did you come up with the name Clive? Is Clive just like a team member within the human team? Like, is that why you? Because I'm hearing all these different interesting AI agent names, and they're just so like they're just like part of the team, part of the family, if you like.
Yeah.
And Clive is
Yeah.
very friendly. It feels like, yeah. Is that how it came about? Like, was there any kind of big thinking around the name?
Yeah, I think we did. We wanted it to be kind of a human-like name, right? So to your point, like, hey, I have Clive on my team now, right? So we wanted that approach, and then we had a bunch of ideas. We did polls, and then we just make a decision, and yeah, it came to be. Uh,
Very cool. I do love it. Tell
yeah,
me, you also said how compounding is magic in finance, business, and life.
yeah, um,
What do you mean by that?
yeah. I think that. In finance is where it makes total sense, right? If you have a company that grows 20% a year for whatever 100 years, you'll have a very big company wherever it started, right? So and I think that the same principle is true for gaining skills as an individual, right? If you're 10% better every year at something, somewhere in the middle of your career, you'll be very good at that thing.
Yeah,
And I think that it's true. So every time you kind of invest time or add learnings to whether it's your business or your life or your skills as a professional, it adds up. It adds up really fast, and you end up in a very, very good place at the end of it, or in the middle of it. So that's what I mean. And I think that compounding is really um, adding more and more to your assets, whether they're financial or knowledge or friends or whatever that may be, is really a good way to think through kind of how you invest time and effort.
I love it because for me, it's about how do you be better every day? How do you evolve, whether that's from a financial or a business perspective or a life perspective?
Exactly.
We're in this world where it is, like you say, it's rapidly changing. We're going to be left behind if we're, not evolving. And I talk a lot about life, leadership, and business because they're all for me interconnected. And lastly, you talk about this need for more presence, like as in being present. And I think as part of, this compounding you're talking about, I think we've been in this rat race for quite some time and we can easily get caught up in it where we're operating from this survival mode, hustling, push, 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 push. And yet we don't see
Yeah.
the finance compounding. We don't see the business compounding. And quite often we don't see our lives compounding because we're not focusing intentionally, we're not focusing on the things we're meant to be focusing on because, when it comes to like from a finance perspective, if we've got if we're not just focused on the bottom line, but we're focusing on our team and ensuring everyone's engaged, like that we're working towards a purpose, well, of course your
Yeah.
finance does compound, right? Because everyone's working to something. And I
Yeah.
think the same applies in life and in leadership. And so I love that you're so focused on this need for us to be present, or because I think it's so important.
Yeah,
What
I think so too. I think that we want to be very intentional on everything that we do. We want to be very um very minded to how we spend our time and make that time worthwhile. Don't, oh, the day flew by and I don't even know what I did today, right? That's a bad feeling. And I think that we can do um, we can do better and like or we can kind of be more engaged. I think that it's a better way to live life.
I love it. I love it. So, Michael, tell me, what do you see as the next big, I guess, like you mentioned that we're in this revolution. You called it two things. You called it AI and you called it something else. I can't remember what else you called it. Like, what are you seeing as the next big things that are, in this? I mean, do you think this is the biggest revolution we'll ever go through, from a world and society perspective?
I think it'll be the biggest so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard to kind
Yeah.
of think about
Anything's
or
better.
the after that. But I think that yeah, we're definitely in the midst of something, and it's big. And I think that um, and yeah, and I think that as it goes, as we see these computing platforms really change, and we see how our lives really depend on the current computing paradigm, right? We're using a computer to have this conversation, right? We're using internet to have this conversation, which are kind of the it will be very interesting to kind of see, all right, where
Takes it.
this goes. Yeah.
Do you think we're just at the start of it? Like, do you think that we're only at the like on
Oh yeah.
touching the surfaces?
Oh yeah, 100%. We're
Yeah,
just getting started.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of it's interesting. I did my AI first course back in 2023, but it feels like this year in particular has just been like boom, like you say, like what happened? All of a sudden, it's like everyone's like, I was even with my hairdresser, I was chatting about it on the weekend, and I was just like. Yeah, like it's just fascinating watching how fast this revolution is taking place.
Yeah.
What are your predictions for 2026? Or you don't even have any, as you're not even thinking that far ahead when it comes to this?
Yeah. I think that on our business, I think that more and more companies will start adopting and kind of start move from like having, hey, I just played around with this tool and it's okay, to like actual production value in their operations. So I think we saw this trend at 2025, and we're gonna see that even expanding much more in 2026. So I think that a big trend will be every industry will kind of implement these tools in production. And I think that on the on the AI side, on the consumer side, like who knows, right? So I think that the capabilities will grow. Um, the capabilities will be better. I think they'll be more accessible. I think they'll be more um, uh, part of our day-to-day lives. So I think that we'll just keep seeing in 2026 on the consumer side, we'll just keep seeing all of these things continue. And I'm really excited for kind of humanoid robots that are starting to pop up, and kind of I'm looking at my 1-year-old son, and I'm like, hey, you're probably gonna have like you're probably never gonna fold laundry again. So that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's super interesting, isn't it? Even my mum, like she was talking to me, she's like, I spoke to an AI agent the other day, like who was booking a restaurant for us, and she's like, yeah, and she was telling me its name, and she said it sounded so like, and I was kind of laughing because mum's she's not old, she's only in her early 70s, but still she's having these conversations. Like it's fascinating. Second last question for you. We've talked a lot about business and, being non-linear in how we approach life and leadership and business. And yet we've also talked about this ability to be intentional and also be truly present. We're in this world of burnout. There's a lot of exhaustion. We can be online 24/7. Again, even I was speaking to my niece on Saturday night, and she's 15, and she said her phone had run out, her battery, and she's like, my whole life's on social media, not on social, Annie B. Like
yeah.
when, back to being present, I'm a big believer that we need to reduce the load, and how do we become more present? With all these automations and the agents, do you think that is going to allow us to be able to actively recover? And what I mean by that is to switch off from the tech, switch off and get back into being present, being more like reading a book, nature, doing things like that, having the ability to clock off, or do you think it's going to remain a challenge?
I hope. I don't know, but I really hope it will. I really hope that um, I really hope that social media will create connections rather than kind of the goal for social media in general is to really is to connect people, right? So when the first ones kind of came about, that was their goal, and I think we lost it a little bit, or we pushed a little bit too far on or being present there. So I think that we can go back to connecting people from other sides of the world, right? The fact that we can talk, you in Melbourne and me in Tel Aviv right now, is amazing, right?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
love
really
it.
cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that your niece can call her grandma on video and kind of have a discussion with her every day, it's really cool. The fact that a lot of people are kind of doom scrolling on videos, yeah, I think it's like a bit too far. But I think that I hope that we'll strike a good balance.
Yeah.
And that maybe AI will help kind of um, reduce that load a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love what Five Sigma are doing, and you're focusing on getting back to that human uniqueness and the ability to have less paper pushing, and so if we can get back to what we're meant to be doing and focus on the high value stuff, and then be able to not have to feel like we're constantly playing catch up. We've got these agents
yes.
like Clive to do so. I think that's
Yeah.
going to that's going to put us in good stead. One last question. What would be one piece of advice you would give somebody who was looking to step into starting their own business, but they
Yeah.
had no idea, they really had no idea where to start? What would be the first step you would advise them to do?
Yeah, I think that I think that you want to find a problem or a space that excites you, that you're passionate about. And frankly, if you find that, it really doesn't there's all these metrics like the size of the market and blah, 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 these types of things. But I think that when you start with, hey, I'm passionate about this problem, I think that like you can create tons of value, and not even like value in terms of like IPOs or anything else, but like having a life that's meaningful to you, right? Which is, I think, what we want, what we're trying to do. And I think that finding this, hey, I want to help in this area, um, is a good kind of way to start, to start your search.
I love it. Last question. Five Sigma. How did you come up with the name Five Sigma? Where did that come from?
Five Sigma is a very good is a good it's come from production and physics, so essentially a good certainty for us. So we're kind of saying we can be Five Sigma in that. So I don't know. It was a long day. We got a few ideas, and that one stuck.
Yeah, it's cool. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Michael, how do we find out more about Five Sigma? How do we find out more about you and all your great insights on life, on leadership and business?
Yeah, we're very active on LinkedIn. You can search for Five Sigma Claims Management on LinkedIn. You can find me, Michael Krikheli, on LinkedIn as well. So we're very active there. We have a website that has fivesigmalabs.ai. So we have, if you're looking to kind of look more into our use cases and insights and blog posts and these types of things, you can find us there as well. Yeah. We're easy to find.
Yeah, awesome. Michael, thank you so much. And I appreciate you jumping on the show on a Monday at 9 a.m. It says a lot about you and your energy and your intentionality. So thank you very much for a really great chat. And I'm wishing you and Five Sigma all the best. And yeah, have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you so much. It was really good talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for
Take
having me.
care. Thanks.